Hey there, welcome back. I am Ramona, and today's little video is going to be what's the craziest, most inappropriate thing a coworker has said to you in the workplace? I've got a whole lot of them, but the one that takes the cake is the one that follows. One of the VPs of my company asked me to be his deputy of special programs last year. Of course, I said yes, because it was a great opportunity and I enjoyed working with him. The other one of the VPs of the company had a rather large ego and was jealous that I was going to be working as his deputy. So one day he walks into the room that I am in with several others and says, "Oh, look, it's," insert my boss's names, "little do girl." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he looks me dead in the face and says, "I'm sorry. Would you prefer boss's names, little bitch?" Good times. Edit to add, I told my boss about it and how I do not leave my children at daycare to come to work to be bullied by anyone, that I would have to leave for the day if something wasn't done. This guy was fired 2 days later. So the stories begin as such. I had a coworker tell me I should be dancing the poles twice. First week of the job in HR, and the most inappropriate person I ever worked with in my entire career proceeded to tell me about the time she let her husband do anal and poop came out. I'm not going to lie. I laughed my ass off, but wondered if I was dreaming. I had a coworker who did that sort of thing. She'd tell her coworkers things like this all the time, but our boss didn't, so we had to wait for her to be transferred out. Goodness. Yeah, there's some inappropriate stories. One woman's response to the basic questions, "How are you?" with "Not good, I'm bleeding through everything." "Not good, boyfriend had sex with me again last night when I was sleeping. Woke up this morning and," very graphic description of bodily fluids. Same company, a woman called off because she had just shaved her at her boyfriend's request and couldn't stand anything next to her skin. Same company, a woman explained being late by a description of being in the shower with her boyfriend, and he liked it from behind. Me? Just oversleeping, traffic, and not enough caffeine. Didn't ask for any of that. Okay, this is kind of like a gentleman's club, or I literally cannot figure out what kind of company this would be. You're going to have to give us more details. No, please, no more details. When I was in retail, less than 10 minutes after meeting a new manager, she was telling me about her awful period, her marital problems, and crying. I handed her the tissues and prayed for either customers or for her to stop. I had an older female boss make many inappropriate comments about her finding me attractive, but nothing so bad as I felt the need to get her in trouble. It was weird, though. Dispatched for a towing company for almost over a decade, had a particularly useless driver come in and describe his last customer as a fat bitch. Told him never to talk to me again and reported him to management. Wasn't even the last time a driver used the N-word in front of me. I knew I was out of place as a liberal, but goddamn. "You shouldn't wear that lipstick. It makes me want to kiss you. You shouldn't wear that dress." That was when he caught me in the stairwell. "Can I kiss you?" He was in his 50s. I was in my 20s. I wanted to vomit. A coworker sent me an unsolicited picture of her hemorrhoid that was causing her to miss work. We didn't work in the same office. I had no idea she was missing work. I started a new job and told my hiring manager that I preferred the men's uniform shirts to the women's, polo style. I didn't give my reasoning, but for the sake of any readers, this is because there were buttons on the placket for the men's, whereas the women's were open, not just even the normal placket without buttons either. It was a V neckline on my polo shirt, and it was deep enough to show an uncomfortable amount of cleavage. My chest could be described as bountiful, and the length of the men's were reasonable and didn't have any necessary princess seams to make it tighter with a cropped bottom that prevented tucking. I prefer to tuck my work shirts. The hiring manager responded with, "You lesbians get crazier and crazier. Already wearing pants now that you can't even wear the shirts designed for you?" I thanked him for his time and walked down to HR, where I had just received my office access card, and insisted that I do an exit interview with a lovely lady in the office. When I dropped my new shiny access card and walked away, I had received another job offer that day anyway, and hadn't responded to it yet. Best STAP decision I have ever made. I have worked that company and have been an amazing team for over the past 7 years. Wow. I had a coworker tell me that he would love to all over me. I didn't last a week there. I worked with this dude that nobody on the campus that nobody on the campus where I worked liked, and for some reason he was never fired. I reported to the receptionist each morning to get my tasks and his tasks for the day, and he asked me if she wanted to go to the bathroom and him off. Receptionist is about my age, late 20s, and the dude was 59 and looked just like Shrek. Green skin and everything. He still didn't get fired for it, and eventually I quit because I couldn't stand being around him all day long. This happened to a friend of mine in her old job, where her manager said to her, "I prefer you to call me sir when we're in bed." There's a lot of audacity in this world. Holy crap! I thought mine, the person who trained me at my current position once asked, "You don't charge for your own oil? Did your dad walk out on your family when you were little or something? Or you not change your own oil?" That'd been much funnier if I'd read that correctly. In my 20s, 20 years ago, I had a bar manager who would pull out his through the zipper and then walk over to you and discuss something work-related until you noticed. The other employees would be laughing and watching. It's hard to believe that ever happened, but it did. It's a long, disgusting list, but probably the top two are, "I'm not going to write you. When are you going to have a baby?" And from men who had no interest in at all in your period, make me so uncomfortable. Not sexual, thank God. I used to have a federal job, and my supervisor thought it would be a good idea to ask me who I voted for in the general election. When I refused, she said she deserved no, and then I hung up on her. I immediately called a colleague, and there would be a record of her wildly inappropriate question. The next day she called me in a panic, claiming that her foot hurt, and that was the reason why she asked. Why her foot hurt. That makes perfect sense to me, of course. At my last job, I had a co-worker tell me that she thought I had herpes. That she had herpes. Then proceeded to show me pictures of her hoo-ha with the symptoms. This was while we were on a lunch break, eating our lunch. That's disturbing. I spent a lot of time communicating with clients over the phone. I was also the only woman in the office, and the youngest by about 20 years. Never saw clients in person. Boss met up with said clients at dinner, then reported back the next day in front of several coworkers that they said I had a sexy voice and that they wanted to know if I was hot. I'm pretty sure my boomer boss thought I'd be flattered. When I replied with, "Oh, and what did you tell them?" he realized that he was in trouble. Whether it was because he realized that it was inappropriate or because I am very overweight or not hot, he may have said that I wasn't. I don't know, but he immediately dropped the conversation. My co-workers had my back. At least two of them tore him to shreds for being gross. I was once partnered with a colleague one shift, and this was a day for me. This was the day after me and my ex had broken up rather messily. It came up in conversation, and then he decided it was inappropriate to ask if he could buy nudes off me since I am now single. In 1987, I worked as a receptionist and word processor. Yes, that was the secretary. What the secretaries were called a long time ago. For a title company that employed 4 to 5 guys that were a few years older than me. I answered phones and typed up contracts and made copies of legal documents. The owners were 3 middle-aged men with wives and children, and the rest of the employees were single men in their late 20s. Within 6 weeks of working there, I was groped, joked with, hit on, talked lewd to, also smelled like I had told that I smelled like I had just had sex, told that if I wanted to make extra money as a stripper, they knew a strip club, but if I'd have to lose some weight first, followed into the bathroom and asked to cover for each of them, and their side girls called. They would openly talk about their sexual conquest and discuss who had herpes, which at the time was a major big deal and topic of conversation. I finally got the guts to complain in tears to one of the bosses, who seemed horrified of the things I was telling him at the time. He assured me that he would do something about it and apologized profusely. That was a Friday. He told me to take off the rest of the day and that Monday, since I was so upset, he would handle it. I was so hopeful and relieved. I remember thinking that I would be able to come back to work the next week and not worry about what I was going to have to deal with. On the following Tuesday, I came back into the office eager to get on the right foot and found my desk empty. My stuff was in a box in the break room. It seems I was temporarily reassigned. Also, I found out that after I left on that Friday, he had called in the jerks all together, and they as a group did not deny their behavior, but claimed that because I had laughed at the time and not complained when it had happened, that I was as much to blame and therefore couldn't work with them. But the next day I was replaced, and by Friday my position had been eliminated. Wow. This is the same company, two different incidents, two different managers. One, female manager asked if I would let her kiss me. Two, male manager, while on a business trip and driving a rental car, lights up a joint, takes a hit, and asks me if I want some. I was not interested in either of them. I had a socially awkward co-worker who would occasionally make inappropriate sexual comments in front of me to the other co-workers. She thought she was flirting. My co-workers would laugh uproariously. I was young, introverted, and had massive social anxiety, so I was mortified at the time. My first full-time job was with an older lady who was in pain, was a pain in the ass, and had no filter. I was a few months pregnant at the time and had really bad morning sickness. So the smart thing for her to do was accuse me of being anorexic. Yes, you read that right, anorexic. Because there are times in the morning she would hear me in the employee's bathroom. Ugh, that's not anorexia. Yes, it is. I hear you puking in the morning. I did manage to make her life miserable a year or two later when I quit the job to go to a much better job, apparently because that she couldn't retire and she was pissed at me. She didn't want to leave them short-handed. A coworker tried to compliment me on being one of the good immigrants who do it correctly. I was born and raised in the U.S. Yesterday, I had a coworker talking shit about me. I walked up on it, less than 5 feet away, and he kept talking. I ignored and walked away. I have had problems with him in the past. Girl Scouts is a faith-based organization. It absolutely is not. Girl Scouts is for everyone. Religion is not involved and should be involved and should not be involved. Literally anyone who's ever worked for any Girl Scout council for more than 2 minutes should know that. Long story short, this is how she tried to justify us having to pray to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, in staff meetings. And then that is how the vice president of HR had to drive across the state of Georgia to physically visit every council office and have a meeting about who you really are and what you really, really cannot do. Because I dimed that shit immediately. Don't fuck with my Girl Scouts. Someone replied with the Girl Scouts is a scam organization and that is there to profit off the backs of little girls. The amount of money you give to the groups is abysmal. The fact that you can make people buy the cookies in bulk and have to sell a pallet or eat the cost, the coverage, the overage. So many things wrong with that organization. Sorry, you had to work there. I was all of 18 and working at a state agency. After months of sexual harassment, I resigned. In my last couple of weeks, one of the officers said, "You know you're going to make love at least once before we leave, right?" My God. God. Oh my God, how are people? Oh my God. I'll never forget a fellow teacher saying to me in the midst of his wife, a former student of his, they were living in a nearby state, filing for divorce. The most discriminated against group in America are white males. I disagree with him. He later lost his job and career due to some undisclosed improper behavior with a younger female a few years back. In my first job in my 20s, the man I worked for came in one morning and told me, "I had a dream about you last night, but I can't tell you about it." I was thoroughly grossed out and didn't ask. Another time, he had me help him find 3 hidden files on his computer. They were porn. He was married with 3 kids and a pillar of the community. I'm so glad I was able to quit. I used to work out at the chemical plants, so the worst thing said to me was sexual harassment. Dude offered to help me in the restroom. He was more graphic, but I'll let you use your imagination. Good thing was that I came from the good thing that came from it was how I saw how many people worked with and around said that was unacceptable. They helped me file the proper complaints and protected me until he was run off. About 8 months pregnant with my first kid, my coworker says, "You sure there's only one baby in there?" I am fat, but, that's not something you say to a prego. Second was an interview. Guy asked me if I was planning on having any more kids. Not illegal, but hugely inappropriate. I was 28 or 29, and a man commented on how I should get married and have kids soon because I was running out of time. I effing hate that guy. One of the dishwashers at the restaurant I was a manager at had convinced himself that he was in love with me. He would tell me I was pretty, so funny, etc. Didn't think it was a big deal, but it never seemed threatening. Around Christmas one year, he gave me a gift of lace underwear, a box of chocolates, and attempted to kiss me, which I did not allow to happen. I let him know that it was extremely inappropriate and he would not be doing that to anyone in the workplace. He then told me he would quit so that we could be together. I don't know what reality he was in. And I pretty much assumed he wouldn't get the point then either. I let HR know and he got fired immediately. I was driving taxi. I went to the office to use the bathroom. Mail dispatcher asked if I could do him a favor. I say, sure, what's up? He said, can you scratch my with they're really itchy. And I told him to go F himself. He then says that if your boobs were itchy, I'd scratch them for you. I quit 6 weeks later. My boss asked me if having sex in the workplace was literally zero reason that I could. What? My past asked me if I was having sex in the workplace with literally zero reason to think that that would ever happen. Wow. Wow, you lost a lot of weight, but at least you kept your tits. My two bosses, male and female, laughed when I told them. Too crazy, but shocked me. I work at a tax office. I was a receptionist when a tax, and then a tax pro. This was my second year as a tax pro, and our office got a new receptionist and new chairs for clients. Well, it's not surprising the chairs had ink pen on them, as you have a kid who loves to draw and no one noticed he had a pen. Well, I still like to clean the office, and because it makes me feel good. So I was scrubbing, trying to get the ink pen off the vinyl. I chuckle a bit, and ask the older receptionist if there is any idea how to get the ink off. I get a snarky look and get told I would try elbow grease, but you probably wouldn't know anything about that. Now, I know this is a cleaning project called elbow grease, but not in our area, and the look I got told her that she was not talking about the cleaning project, a product. I still don't know what her problem was, but when I got back with a few other people, that she was talking bad about me behind my back. I had a co-worker grab my upper thigh while I was working on his computer. I firmly told his ass to remove his hand and walked next door to report it. Needless to say, his problem was not my problem for the foreseeable future. I was the sole IT person. I had a 60-something-ish co-worker that had a bad habit of oversharing. We were set up for a team meeting with our project lead and a client, and TMI guy was late. He finally comes blustering into the conference room, all red in the face, and blurts out, I know I'm late, but an ant bit my in the porta potty. Sorry. Quiet chaos ensued. Bartender at the country club where I worked told me I had a phone sex voice when I told him the order I needed to get one of my formal dining guests. I was 18. He was in his late 30s. We had an all-day shift meeting, a mandatory and actually a retreat. Basically, it was an all-day party. That was the higher-up's gorgeous house on the water. It was brand new. I got to ride with a co-worker. I had no idea hot tubs can assist you along when drinking. Also, I never ate breakfast. So I'm in the hot tub drinking, jumping in the water to cool off, and back in the hot tub. I got pretty tipsy. Well, I ate, but it was too late. I was in the life of the party there for a while. Probably would have been embarrassed the next day, but my behavior wasn't that bad. My ride told me it was time to leave, so I went into the changing bedroom. I was by buck-ass naked when my boss came in. I quickly grabbed a towel and covered up. He took a few steps in and kissed me. I was drunk and in my 20s. This was my first SA. He said something about my ride, about how he couldn't be in there. Everyone would know. He was married. Eventually he left. I never encouraged him. I got dressed. This blew me away. Now I'm totally drunk. I leave with my ride. That's pretty awful, yeah. We were talking about genetics. I told my coworker that my mom and dad had brown hair, but I got my red hair from my granddad, my dad's dad. Coworker asked me, as she was hysterical of me, if my mom had slept with my granddad. I told her something, and she stopped laughing, and we never spoke about non-related work stuff again. I would learn not to talk to my coworkers about anything work-related, or not work-related. Holy shit, you'll have some serious shitty experiences, and I'm sorry. My example isn't overly horrible, but it definitely rendered me speechless for a few seconds. I've been at my job for 2 weeks when a woman I had met once came up to me and asked if I'd help her with something. I said sure, obviously expecting it to be work-related. Nope, she wanted me to put her nose ring back in for her. I'm really not comfortable with that. Sorry. Yeah, that's disturbing. COO of software company to an engineering manager, while standing amongst our employee desks. Can't one of the Cheeto dicks build this feature real quick? The what? Cheeto dicks. Their dicks are orange because they can't wipe the Cheeto dust off their fingers before touching themselves. You know, nerds. Gestures to the desks of engineering staff. Edited to add, so many of these stories could be involved with a loud, "What the fuck did you just say to me?" And it seriously bothers me how impossible it is to do most of these work environments. I was an intern at a local TV affiliate while in college. Worked with a curmudgeonly man, I would guess maybe mid-50s. I'm Asian. He asked what my nationality is. I told him Chinese. He said, good. He has no problem with the Chinese. He served in Vietnam and really didn't like Vietnamese people. They had a lot of, his word, paid sex workers while he was serving, and they were great because they were so subservient. I was 22 and a senior in college. Reporting people wasn't an option back then. At least, I didn't think so. I used to be a mortician. One day I was trying to fasten a bra on a very large woman. I'd done it a million times, but my boss happened to walk in and see me struggling, and he ordered one of the dudes who picked up the bodies to assist me. Unnecessary, and also I believe it may have been illegal to help in that manner. He got in the way and made it even more difficult. I lifted the woman up in a way that would allow him to fasten the bra on, but he still couldn't do it. I was visibly annoyed. He said, sorry about that. I'm much better at taking these things off. Then he winked at me and made a honking sound as he pretended to pinch the woman's breasts. I hated working there. Former director of the Lake Erie Research Center told me I was stupid and crazy for being pregnant. She then regaled me with her stories of when she did research while she was pregnant. But that was different because it was her and she's special. Did I mention that she's no longer the director? I should hope not. Anyway, we're going to leave that one there because those are a little more disturbing than I thought. I was hoping for something a little more, fun and exciting and crazy, but apparently people really suck. I think we all knew that, but this doesn't leave me much hope for humanity. I'm just going to say that. Anyway, thanks for listening and watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye. Hello, once again, I am Ramona, and I'm here to shamelessly self-promote one of my little projects over on Amazon.com, the Easy to Color coloring book. These are all hand-drawn with the stencils because it was cooler that way. I tried drawing hands-free or, freehand. That's something nobody wants to see. So this is a coloring book. It's got, I don't remember how many got in it. I want to say between 40 and 50. Big, large images, good for kids, good for adults with arthritis like myself. So, I can't do the little intricate things. I love coloring. I color all the freaking time, but it's hard for me to do the intricate stuff. So that's why I created this little coloring book. Lots of weird geometrical shapes because that's what I like to do. There's also little inspirational, not so inspirational quotes on the back, just so you can pass your time and have a little bit of fun. But go check it out over on Amazon.com. It says volume 1. I haven't gotten around to making a volume 2, but maybe someday. You never know. Hope springs eternal. But check it out, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening and watching. Bye-bye. Hey, Ramona here. I am going to shamelessly self-promote here a little bit. In case you knows, I've got some stuff over on Amazon.com, some projects, novels, coloring books, some other stuff. The one I'm talking about right now is called My Memory Book. It's mostly for kids. I mean, I guess you could do it if you want to, but so that your kid can have a record, a memory book to record things throughout their life, because I found this out with my kid. He's like, well, what was my favorite color when I was a kid? And what songs did I like? What shows did I like? So I created this little book, and it's very colorful. It's small, but it's got things like my full name is, and the year I was born, the day I was born. I like to watch my favorite programs and movies and the characters I like best. And it's a way for them to grow up, and you don't have to fill it all out at once. It's kind of like you're supposed to do it over the years. My thought was, every birthday go through and do a little bit. My first teacher was named. When I get older, I think I might like to be that kind of thing. Just a cute little way, fun little way for them to interact, and you can have your own little memory book. Get one for each kid or whatever. And just a way for them to learn. And as it goes on, the questions get a little more developed. They're not super developed at the beginning. But, and you can put pictures in, you can do all kinds of stuff. My first job, stuff about school, stuff about music, your future dreams, that kind of stuff. But anyway, if you're interested, go look it up on Amazon.com. It's called My Memory Book. Good for kids of all ages, but mostly little kids because, you want to have them remember things later on. Anyway, thanks, and talk to you later. Bye. Hey there, this is Ramona, and I'm going to shamelessly promote some of my products over from Amazon.com. This one is a bunch of coloring books. They're paper dolls to color because I combined a lot of my favorite things. I loved paper dolls as a kid. I never could get enough. I was always drawing my own paper dolls, my own paper doll clothes, all that kind of stuff. I also love to color because it's very relaxing and calming, and it's a good creative outlet. And so here we go. There's 5 in a series, volumes 1 through 5, obviously, all color coordinated because, why not? But it's over on Amazon.com called Paper Dolls to Color. And as you can see, they're all hand drawn. Probably not the best formatting job I could do, but hey, I'm giving myself a B for effort. All the clothes are interchangeable. There's 5 paper dolls per book, and they are named, but of course you can, change that. I just picked random names, some of them from friends and family and whatever. But, they're not bad. But I do love drawing clothes. I've always wanted to be, okay, not always, but there was a time I really wanted to be a fashion designer, but I don't have the skill and I can't sew except for them to put buttons on and to, do that kind of stuff. But each book has pajamas, has winter wear, has little ideas, for careers or whatever. You can do whatever you want to with them, and the fun thing is you can color them however you want. There's fancy stuff to wear. It's, my inner girly girl dream there. But if you are interested in coloring or paper dolls or any of that fun stuff, or someone who is, go take a look over on Amazon.com and maybe pick up 1 or 2. There's only 5, so it's not like it's going to break the bank. Anyway, thanks for listening to this. Sorry for the shameless self-promotion, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Thanks. Bye.